Hey folks, Jonathan again. We're trying to do some little bit of design and such on this this case, and this is for the cam side. And what I've done here, I've got my gear ordered, and it should be here pretty soon. It's a 16 pitch diameter and 4.5 pressure angle, and this gear is actually, the OD on this gear is going to be 1.250, which is 1.25 inches. And the teeth are an 1/8 inch deep, so 1/8 inch on each side. It takes 1/4 off, so 1 inch is where the gear is actually going to be, and I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm trying to get my cord or my camera where you can see here. Okay, so this gear is actually going to fit right in like that. I'm going to center this, and we're going to have, of course, 2 of these gears. And what I figured out, just pretend this is a gear, and what I could do is I can run this gear to this one and then this gear to the other one and set it here. 1 intake valve, 1 exhaust valve, and this is the gear with the cam. And but here's my problem. Okay, I've checked my distance apart from my rockers, and I just set up these indicators here to get an idea of where my rockers are. You can see I just centered them in the holes down there is what I've done. But so that gives me an idea of where our push rod is going to run, and we want to try to make our push rods run pretty straight just to make it look good. So if we put this down here, then what we come out to, if I put this one to where it's going to be straight up, we're not going to have room for this gear. So what we can actually do, if there's room, we can run the other gear farther up and over and run it off of this gear. And it's going to reverse the rotation, but like I said, it don't matter which way you turn it as long as it's in time, because it's only turning around and, you know, and opening your valve, opening and closing the valve. So it just needs to open it and close it in time. It don't matter which way it's moving to do it. So I'm going to try to figure that out, and then there's going to be a bump out on this whole case. And instead of like the one that we done here, this is just a single bump out on that one for our bearing, and to strengthen it up and give me more room for the thickness of the bearing. Instead of that, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna have a bearing on this side, but we're gonna build this whole piece out, and that'll set the cams out. Our gear that we're getting is got a 1/2 inch face width. This one's, I hadn't measured it, but it looks like about 1/4. So we're not going to worry too much about that. That'll give us, you know, room to go up and down a little bit with this. And, you know, we'll have to shim the sides of it with some shim stock, you know, something good and hard, that way it won't wear into it. But anyway, but that's what we're trying to do. I'm going to get this centered. We're going to try to figure out where our gears need to be. If we have to, we can angle our push rods a little bit. I mean, it's not going to bother anything, but I'm just trying to get it to look as good as I can get it to look. So anyway, all right, show you more. Okay, here's what I figured out on this. Hopefully this thing is zooming right. Looks kind of weird. Anyway, this is our distance between our rockers. This is the distance between our, this would be between our center of our valve lobes if the gears were meshing together side by side, which they're not going to be, but that would be the difference. And we're looking at probably 3/16, well, almost 1/4 on each side. 1/4 inch on each side of angle going, you know, in is not going to be that bad, but we'll get this set up and drawn out how I want it, and then we'll get it machined around. But, you know, just check and double check on this kind of stuff. It'd be nice to sit down, do all this on paper, have it all figured out. But the problem you run into is when you're using pre-made parts like this gear. I'm not ordering a gear of a particular size. I'm not ordering a cylinder of a particular size, and I'm not building the gear or building the cylinder. So we've got to work around that stuff, and that's where people seem to have a problem, you know, to get things right. And the whole thing is you got to be steps ahead. You got to be a lot of steps ahead of what you're doing in your head. That way you can, know what's going to be here and what's going to be in your way later, it's just a lot of thinking, and that's the part that I enjoy most about this. But anyway, we're going to see what we can do, and I'll show you more. Okay, folks, after a bunch of figuring and fighting and measuring with this thing, I've come to the conclusion that we're going to have to run them side by side so we have enough room for the lifter guides up here. And so what I'm going to do, these are going to end up where they're at. That's just all there is to it when we're done, you know, and that'll give our distance between our push rods. If we want to cut down on some of the angle, what I can do, and I don't want to change the ratio a lot, if we shorten these up some, because we're gonna cut this away, so there's going to be nothing there for a guide to run through. It'll fit up inside in the ball here, and then our lifters will have a ball on them, so that's going to work out fine. But we can heat these and bring them out just a little bit, and it's going to shorten them up a little bit, but that's actually going to add to our rocker ratio, which probably going to be a good thing because we don't have a lot of lift here, and we may not have to grind the cam as much if we do that. So we'll work with that, and you know, we might get this set up in the milling machine and get this milled off, and we're going to try to do something around here. We just want to make it look like there's never been a valve cover on it, and I think that'll work out all right. Be pretty neat. But for this, like I said, I'm going to come around it and leave enough area so, you know, I'm either going to raise this up and put a cover over it, or I'll make one that actually goes over top and bolts to this, and there'll be a gasket in there. And we'll probably leave this bearing side open. We won't run a seal on this side, and the oil will actually come over to here, and then we'll have a hole down at the bottom to drain the oil back into the engine. And we can there's quite a few things that we can do. You know, we'll go the inside and open it up and angle it where the oil will actually, when it splashes inside the case, it'll come down and oil our lifter bores. We just want to make sure there's lubrication everywhere. And you know, the gears, once the oil gets to the gears, it's going to sling it anyway, so that's not going to be a problem. But I think this is what I have come to the conclusion that we're going to have to do. We'll probably bring it down and around, and we'll just, you know, be milling out here and then quite a bit on the bottom. But yeah, I think it's going to work out good. I think we'll be just fine when we're finished up. But I'm going to try to get this drawn out here. It's late. It's, you know, way after dark, and I need to be in there actually getting ready to eat. But see what I can get done here. All right, back working on our engine a little bit at night, and it's supposed to storm tonight, and the wind's supposed to blow pretty bad. They had some tornadoes out west off this same storm, so we're hoping for the best anyway. But I've got my gear in. As you can see, it's a 1/2 inch face width, 1/2 inch bore, but this is fully boreable. I can go out bigger if I need to. And of course, it's going to run on this crankshaft, and I can turn the crank down if I need to, you know, just on this area. This is our bearing surface. This will be our gear surface, and we'll probably come out here somewhere and do us a piece for a lobe for the set of points, and we'll probably go on the outside of our cover and put a points plate that is turnable and adjustable, and then we'll make a cover for it. But we'll do that as we go. Okay, folks, I've got it drawn out how I want it. I've got some extra lines here, but you know, we're going to start with this radius, and then we're going to go to this radius, and then we'll go to this one. No, I'm sorry, this open one, and leave us plenty of room to put our cover over. And I'll show you what. Let me see. Here's the center, so the gear will go here, and this is the lowest gear, and it will move around to about there. So we're going to have all this room, and then up here to be able to put the our cover that's going over it, and you'll understand it as I go. All right, let me get the machining on this thing. Okay, first thing I got to do is get my rotary table set back on here. My old Bridgeport's working really good. I just leave it with the power off on manual, and I can use my digital readout, and I can zero it out when I need to, and it seems to work pretty good that way. Anyway, let me get at it. Alright folks, the rain's trying to come down on the roof now, so storm's coming in bad. Got all this machined down the way I want it, and what I'll do, I'm going to build a piece up here, and it'll be big enough for my lifters to go in, and it's going to be wide enough to come above this, and we'll build a entire wall around here, probably about a 1/4 inch thick, to come down and around. We'll bring it up, and then of course, you know, it's got to be angled so we get it out of the mold. But yeah, that's what the plan is. You know, I brought this down a little bit low, but I want a big surface out here to be able to do my points plate, so I didn't want to bring it in too close. And it's about a 1/2 inch farther down than what the other one was. So got a lot more sanding to do on it, but it's moving along. We're getting, you know, we're getting there. But we'll probably next time a chance I get to work on it, whether it be tomorrow night or whenever, you know, we'll go ahead and get started on our wide piece here and going around it. All right, appreciate you watching.